everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. This is part number 2 of Maximum Apocalypse. We're going to start exactly where we left off. In the last video, we had finished off the Fireman. We were able to find, and we had found, a fuel canister. We also found 2 other fuel canisters that the hunter was able to pick up, so she did her work. He did his, but he's lagging behind with only 1 fuel canister. We need 1 more to get out of here. The objective of the extremely easy tutorial is to find 4 fuel cans, make your way to the van you see in the distance, get to the roof, from the rooftop essentially, and then get there, fuel up the van, and then get the heck out of there. So currently our map looks like this. We have the hunter in the forest, and we have the fireman at the farm, and we have a monster in waiting at the van, 2 monsters in waiting at the shopping mall. We're not going back there anytime soon. And where we left off was essentially the hunter would be beginning her turn right now. One thing I want to make mention of is a little mistake I made in terms of the action for the passive ability on the flashlight in the last video. It says here when you keep one, you put the other on the bottom of the deck. So essentially what that means is when you went to go scavenge something, you pull 2 cards, you take one that you want, and the other one, it doesn't go in the scavenge discard pile, it goes in the bottom of the deck you drew it from. So just something to make note of and make mention of. Also in this video I'll be doing my best to ensure that on the right off the start on each character I always, after spawning monsters, draw a card. Because I missed that I think once or maybe twice in the last one. Again, as noted, it didn't really make too much of an impact. We have a ton of cards to choose from, but we're not really probably going to need them because this is the extremely easy tutorial. In the next playthrough of Maximum Apocalypse, which based on your guys' comments and feedback sounds like you want to see more, which is awesome. So we're definitely going to do, and I got enough comments to definitely secure that. So we're definitely going to for sure do another scenario of this. Maybe we'll change up the apocalypse. We'll pick 2 different heroes, that type of thing, so you guys can see differences. Okay, so we're going to start off with the hunter. Hunter begins. We're going to do our 2d6 roll to see if any monsters happen to show up on the board. I'm hoping not. We got ourselves a 9. Do we have anything 9? We do not have any 9, so we're safe. Okay, good. We'll start with the hunter. We're going to draw a card. We got the flaming arrows. Interesting. So this is a mid-range attack. Deals 5 damage to a target and 3 damage to up to 2 additional targets. Wow, that's a really powerful card. Jeez, that's crazy. So basically, wow, that's a lot. Okay, well that's good to know. We do have a bow, by the way. We've had a bow for a while, so we may end up using this, or we may not, depending on what monsters show up in front of us. For now, my machete's stronger attack, but with these cards that keep coming out of the deck to enhance the bow, it's giving us options, so we'll see how that pans out. So we pulled a card. We're not going to use it for now. We'll take 4 actions. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is what I was kind of thinking of doing, was maybe being a little bit exciting and going this way. Just so that you guys can see a different path. We'll maybe take 2 different paths to get to the van and hope that we can, between the 2 of us, find the last fuel can we need. So that's my plan of attack, basically. I'm not going to go to the farm because the farm gives me, or the farm is a green. And if I'm scavenging there, it's a waste of my time because we no longer have any cards left in the green. So it's better for me to go to the hospital. So the hunter is going to move to the hospital for 1 action, which we're going to denote by using this die here. So we are in the hospital now. We can heal if we need to, but we don't need to. We're going to scavenge for sure. She's got her flashlight, so that allows her to scavenge and draw 2 cards from the red deck. So we're going to go ahead and grab 2 cards from the red deck. We got a food and medical supplies. Okay, so not exactly what we wanted. Let me think here. Which one of these 2 would be the best one to keep? Well, that's really not much. There's not much really to think about there. I guess the food makes sense. We really don't need either that badly because I have a 3 food one on her. That's the reason why I was pondering. I was like, I already have a 3 food one on her. She's got tons of food. So, okay, the medical supplies will be taken and put on the bottom of the deck that we scavenge from, which is this one. So we'll slide that underneath like so, and we're good. Okay, so that was the first scavenge. I'm going to keep looking because as long as she's got that flashlight, she's got the best opportunity to hopefully find fuel. So we're going to do another action here. Now, I want to make sure I'm counting the actions correctly. I was here, moved here for 1 action, scavenge for 1, and so technically this should be at 2. And we're going to scavenge again for the 3rd action. We're going to grab 2 cards off the top, and woo, we got a fuel. Oh my gosh, that's overkill. Okay, so we got all the fuel we need. So with that being the case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard my flashlight because I no longer need this to help me find anything. So this is going to go in the scavenge discard pile. I'm going to take one of the fuels that I didn't or don't want to keep, because remember we have 1, 2 here. If I keep one, that keeps me in my 4 inventory limit, which is awesome. And then we have the other one over here with the Fireman, so that's great. The one that we have here that we're not keeping, again, goes in the bottom of the red deck. Not that it matters that much because we basically found everything that we need, so we're good. So now we're going to go, this is awesome. So I guess this changes up my plan. Originally I was going to kind of head down this way, but I guess because we found it at the hospital, then why would I take the longer route? We might as well stick together as a group. So for my last action, I'll just move into the farm area. So at least we're side by side. So that is 4 actions in, and we are done with her. Now for free actions, we can do things like discard 2 cards to draw a card, trade scavenge cards, or fuel up the van. Don't really have any reason to do any of those right now. I'll just move to increasing my hunger. So my hunger will go up to 3. And we end our turn by taking damage if there's any enemies here. That was my phone smashing on the ground. Okay, so from, what's up next? I guess we're moving over to the Fireman. So we're going to spawn 2, or we're going to spawn for some monsters here. See what we get. Hopefully not anything bad. Oh, 7. I love 7. We've gotten 7 so many times in this playthrough that it never shows up anywhere. We got 6 and we got an 8, but 7 is perfect. I'm happy with that. So no spawning there. That's good. And we're now going to draw a card. We're playing the Fireman now, and I want to make sure, yep, we're set to, the counter's been reset. The card we get is Snare. Okay, deal 2 damage to a target and stun that target until the start of your next turn. Cool. So again, not really necessary right now. We're way ahead of the game in terms of killing off zombies, so we're okay. Again, we're underneath our 20 hand limit between the 2 characters, sharing a deck, so we're fine there. First action for the Fireman is going to be to run into this area and see what happens. So we're going to reveal this tile and see what happens. Police station, reveal, free scavenge. Well, I guess we can do that, it's free. So we'll move into here for 1. We'll do a free scavenge on the blue. We got some food. Food's not bad. I'll take food. It restores 4 hunger. That's really good. So that's kind of what he needed. So he's got some food now finally. His hunger level's almost there too. You can use your hunger. You can use that food. You don't have to wait until your level equals the food amount. But it's just, you know, in terms of efficiency, probably best. So he's moved to the police station. That was 1 action. He got a free scavenge. So only 1 action spent so far. He might as well keep moving. So we're going to move on to the next one. City Street. Ooh, interesting. Draw a monster if we enter. Cool. So we're going in. So we're going to be drawing a monster. So the Fireman, now the Fireman has used 1 action to get here, 1 to get here. So we've used 2 so far. We have 2 left. Thank goodness, because we're probably going to need the trusty axe to deal with whatever comes out of here. And it's a zombie walker, so that's in front of him. We're definitely going to use our trusty axe. We'll flip this to 3 to do an attack. The axe does 4 damage and easily cuts through the zombie with no effort whatsoever. So with the zombie walker taken care of in the city street, the Fireman now has essentially 1 action left. This is where things get interesting. Now there is a monster token on the van right here, and this is where there's some choices to be made. I could essentially sit here on this particular city street card and just choose not to move into this van space. But I want to show you guys for the first time what it would be like to actually move into a space like this and how you would resolve what's called a stealth test. So let's do it. We're going to take the action of moving into the tile. Now, there's 2 ways you can handle this movement. When you move into a space like this, the first thing you want to check, or even before you move into space, the first thing you want to think about is whether or not you have an enemy in front of you. If you have an enemy in front of you and you move into a space with a monster token, you have to reveal the monster token right away, because essentially you're dragging in a bunch of monsters, they make a bunch of noise, and so you can't really stealthily move into that area without being noticed. So the idea being that if you do not have anything in front of you when you move into that space, like the Fireman here for instance, when I go into the van area and I'm close to the van, I know there's a monster there, but the monster hasn't seen me yet, essentially. So I have a choice at this moment. I can, and this is all dependent usually on how many actions you have left in your strategy. In my case, I have 0 actions left. I am using my last one to move in. I could choose to reveal the monster and attack it head on. Really dumb decision, because it's automatically going to reveal and hit me for damage because I can't even attack it. I have no more actions. Or I could try to make a stealth check to get past it. Now, if I try to do a stealth check, my stealth on my Fireman is 6. So I'd be looking for a 6, but every single monster token that's currently in a space when you're doing a stealth check reduces that number by 1. So I have to roll 2d6s, which are these 2 dice right here. And if my combined roll is less than or equal to the survivor's stealth, which is adding in or subtracting the fact of the tokens there, in this case 1, so 5. If it's 5 or less, then I'm successful. So let's see what happens. I am. So I'm successful. So I successfully snuck past him. I got really lucky there. So I do not have to reveal this token, which means I can truly stop my turn on the van and no monster is going to come after me. I was able to maybe, thematically you can think about it like the monster was on one side of the van and I'm on the other hiding. Doesn't know I'm there. The cool thing about this is my turn ends now, and when my turn ends, I'm able to fuel up the van or drop off cards at the objective. So I'm absolutely going to take my fuel card, and technically you can just take the fuel card and put it beside it. I'm just going to discard the fuel can and use one of these really cool fuel tokens to just say I've spent some time putting in 1/4 the amount of fuel we need into the van. Pretty cool. So as of right now, the monster doesn't even know I'm there, and my turn would come to an end. I would do what's normal. I'd increase my hunger up to 4, and I'm hoping at this point that my hunter can make it over to me before I have any more issues over here. So my hunter over here is now going to activate, and of course I take damage if I had something in front of me, but I don't because I did the stealth test and succeeded at it. So now we're going to go over to the hunter. The hunter's going to start. She's going to roll 2 dice and hope that she doesn't see any extra enemies. We got another 7. I don't know how many times I've rolled 7s, but I love it. It's awesome. So that's fantastic because we don't have any 7s on the board everywhere. We have tons of 6s. If we'd have rolled a 6, we would have got here, here. That would have been tragic. It would have been right on top of us. But we just missed it. So we're safe. What's going to happen now is we're going to draw a card because we don't want to forget about that either. We're going to draw a card for our hunter's turn. She got Snare. Deal 2 damage to a target and stun that target until the start of your next turn. Cool. We'll put it up here in the rest of our cards. We're not really using those right now because we're not running into enough problems, but we may in a future playthrough, which we're definitely doing. We're going to go ahead and move here for 1. So this is the first action spent. When she moves into here, there's an enter trigger. You have to draw a monster. So she's going to face a monster in the street. She's in the middle of nowhere. Not in the middle of nowhere, but she's in the middle of a street. She has to face something. She's facing the zombie dog. Okay. So what does she want to do? Well, really, truthfully, we don't need to kind of dilly-dally in here anymore. We've used 1 to get in here. There's a zombie dog. I can hack it twice with my machete using 2 actions, and that's enough to kill it. That's 6 damage, and this zombie dog was taken care of. Easy. We still have 1 more action to do. This is going to be the same situation as what was happening before. Can we get in here? Stealth, because we do not have a monster in front of us now. Well, if I choose to move in here, I have to do a stealth check to see if I can get past this monster, and if I do, I can get the fuel into the van and we're done. So she's going to go into here for her 4th action. She's also going to be attempting to hide on one side of the van, hopefully. She's going to go ahead, oops, sorry, that's the hunger. We're going to knock up her actions to 4 because she's done. She's going to be rolling 2d6s. Her stealth, though, is amazing. So we got the roll we needed with the Fireman because the Fireman had the worst sneak ability, and that just makes thematic sense. The Hunter would be much stealthier. She's a lot quieter and stuff like that. Just she knows how to avoid making noise. And so 9 minus the 1 token that's there is 8. So all we have to do is get an 8 or lower. I probably already jinxed it just by saying that. And I did. Okay, so we obviously rolled higher. If you roll higher than your stealth, you remove all the tokens and draw a monster card for each token removed. So this is where it gets nasty. So essentially, the monster here is going to pop up. We're going to have 1 zombie walker here that's going to show up. And this zombie walker at this point in time, now that her full actions have been used. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to be doing the Fury action, which is a once per turn thing. We're going to be using the Fuel Up the Van drop off cards at the objectives. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove 1 of the fuel cards. I'm going to discard it and I'm going to put a fuel card on the van. But at the same time, because I failed that check, essentially for the monster, I had to reveal that first technically. So I'm going to remove this monster token. This monster token then spit a zombie walker at us, which we just saw. I just forgot to remove the token off. The zombie walker now is going to get the unfortunate ability to take damage, and we're going to take damage because we don't have any actions to deal with him. So for the first time this entire scenario, the zombie's going to hit us for 2. So that has not happened the entire scenario long, but the hunter finally got 2 smacks. So 2 damage on the hunter, and we've only got 2 of the fuel in there so far. We need to wait to the next turn. And actually, you can see here, how there's an issue with the fuel, because we're going to have to possibly trade the fuel across characters. Let me see here. Trade scavenge cards with another player. Fuel up the van. Yeah, I'm gonna have to trade this over to the fireman, and then we're both gonna have to fuel up the van at the same time. So what we're gonna do is end off her turn, which we did. We took damage. Now we're gonna start back over with the fireman. The fireman is going to spawn monsters. So we're at the tail end of this, if we can survive. 7! Are you serious? I don't understand what's going on with these dice. Honestly, they're not weighted, I swear. And then we're going to draw a card, even though we haven't used many of these cards at all. Fire extinguisher, very cool, but not going to use it right now. Then we're going to go to, well, we have 4 actions. We're in here. I could use 1 action, for instance, to eat my food, just for fun. So I'm going to discard this card. And now my hunger has been knocked back down to 1, because it's the lowest it can go. What else can we do? We can move 1 space. Don't want to do that. We can draw cards to our heart's content. Don't really need to do that. Play a card. Don't need to do that. I'm just going to skip. I'm not going to take any more actions. Essentially, I'm going to move right to the free actions. We're going to go ahead and trade scavenge cards with another player. Now it does say the wording here is interesting, because it says free actions. So there's multiple actions. Once per turn. So once per turn you can do a free action. So what I'm trying to, I think, if I'm reading that correctly and I've checked the rule book, I believe that means essentially I can only do 1 of these 3 things each turn. That would be my understanding. If that's the case, I can only trade scavenge cards with another player right now. But you'll notice that technically, yeah, at this point we're in the same spot. What I'm trying to figure out in terms of gameplay is whether trade scavenge cards with another player means I can take a fuel card and move it over. I'm going to say hypothetically that makes sense, that I can use one of my turns essentially to move that over. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take that fuel card. But now at this point, from my understanding, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I couldn't then fuel up the van, because it's a once per turn thing. That's where the wording gets fuzzy. Do I essentially, am I allowed to do each of these things once per turn, or one of these things once per turn? That's going to kind of affect things. But regardless, we got the fuel over here. That's fine. His turn is done. He's going to increase his hunger to 2, and we're going to take damage, but there's no zombies, so we're good. We bump back over to the hunter, we're going to have another roll. We're going to see what happens. We got an 11. What is 11? 11. Ooh, the farm. So the farm actually got some action here. So monsters are starting to pop up. And we, of course, have this zombie in front of us. So let's do the first. Let's actually spend 2 actions right off the hop. Use the machete twice. Cut this walker to pieces. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to say we're not doing anything further with her for actions. We're then going to use our fuel card, discard it as a free action to spend it to fuel up the van. So we got 3 tokens on it now. We're going to increase our hunger to 4, so she's getting even more hungry, although she has lots of... Technically right now I had an extra action to spend. I probably could. I'll just... I could use food 2, I guess, and knock it to 2. Yeah, we'll just do that. Because she is eating and using her food. And all her actions are... I'm saying that all her actions are done now. And we got the fuel in, so we're good. We increased the hunger. We ate. We're not taking any damage because there's no zombies in front of us. Perfect. And we go to the final turn, which is the fireman. And this is where it all comes down, depending on how things pan out with this roll. We got 11. That's another one at the farm. Man, they love the farm. So they're at the farm again. And we're going to go ahead now, and we're going to, well, I don't want to do anything. I don't really want to do anything but put the fuel card in. So we're going to say he does no actions. He goes to his free action. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this fuel can, put the 4th one on, and just like that, we've got all the fuel we need to get the heck out of there. And at this point, now this is where the cool part is in terms of the rules, is that essentially you're going ahead and you're fueling up the van and dropping off cards at the objective. One thing to note, and this is something in the rulebook as well as mentioned even on forums as well, is that your increasing of hunger and your end of turn take damage still happen regardless of the fact that you completed your objective. So even though I got 4 fuel canisters into the van, and technically based on the tutorial objective it says you just find 4 and you're good to go, you still have to finish the entire turn in order to leave. So if there had been a monster there and I had been in, really close to death, I could actually die. essentially on the last turn. And so you have to think about that too in tougher scenarios where there'll be more monsters sitting around. But in this one, we're in the clear. So we did it. We survived the extremely easy tutorial. I'm really thankful for that, because I think if I had have lost this tutorial, I probably would have lost all credibility in the world. I don't think I would have ever regained any kind of respect ever from the tragic loss if I had have lost this one. So it's kind of funny, because when I was going to this one, I was like, ah, extremely easy. That should be a piece of cake. It'd be really embarrassing to not get through that one. But you know what? We rolled 7 like 100 times, and that probably avoided most of the numbers that were here. We had all kinds of numbers, but none of them were 7. So with that being said, now we go to essentially the next scenario, and this is where things get interesting. So we have a number of different scenarios I can pick from. I'm obviously not going to progress all the way to the most insane, but I'm thinking like maybe a normal. We're going to get away from, there's easy, there's very easy. You're going to skip those. We're either going to do a normal, we're going to do a hard. I'm not going to bother with the very hard, so it's going to be a normal or hard. I don't know if I want to go to hard yet. I'll probably do a normal. I think normal will be a nice jump by itself. But the other thing I wanted to ask you guys is whether or not you have a specific preference on which type of apocalypse you'd like to see. If I remember correctly, there were zombies, there were robots, there were aliens, and there was something else that is slipping my mind. But if you remember, you can head back to my solo setup video. I mentioned all 4 of them. But regardless, if you have a preference, let me know. I would like to cater it to you guys. So if there's a particular one you want to see more than the other, let me know. And we'll gather up those comments. And if you do like what you've seen so far, I hope this was helpful to get the game to the table and stuff like that. That was really the purpose of the playthrough, was to help you guys get this game to the table, as well as individuals who don't own it and are just interested in seeing what it's all about. It is really fun, and it's cool to have a nice light. I want to call this one, again, I'm playing very easy, and it's pretty simplistic right now, but it's a very light game. It's easy to set up, tear down. It's very simplistic in terms of the components, so that's good. It's very... It's nice to have a couple of these games in my collection where it doesn't take 20 minutes to set up the game. So that's a huge plus, and it is fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to using all of these in the coming playthrough. We may end up changing up our heroes too, so there's another thought. Do you want to see the Hunter and the Fireman go on to the next scenario, or do you want to see a different duo go after it? Let me know that in the comments below as well. So thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate all the support, and that's going to wrap it up for the tutorial mission of Maximum Apocalypse. So until next time, thanks for watching, and keep on rolling solo.